mentioned, even before the final vote was cast, President Obama was on the road in Iowa City selling the law and making light of a lot of the fuss. Listen.
They called the passage of this bill Armageddon. Armageddon. End of freedom as we know it. And so after I signed the bill, I looked around to see if there were any asteroids falling or some cracks opening up in the earth. Turned out it was a nice day. Birds were chirping. Folks were strolling down the mall.
There were new pieces of ugliness today. Someone mailed white powder and a threatening note to New York Democrat Anthony Weiner's district office. Minnesota Congresswoman Betty McCollum got an opened condom and a vulgar message. Republicans are saying, however, that the Democrats are basically using these kind of threats made by, fringe extremists to bludgeon the Republicans. So what's the truth? Well, Dana Bash tonight is keeping them honest.
The second-ranking House Republican came to the cameras to say he's been the target of violence, too.
A bullet was shot through the window of my campaign office in Richmond this week, and I've received threatening emails. But I will not release them because I believe such actions will only encourage more to be sent.
The police in Richmond, Virginia later said a preliminary investigation shows the bullet wasn't fired directly at his building, but into the air, hitting a window on the way down. But the main reason Cantor spoke out was to accuse Democrats of using threats of violence for political gain.
I have deep concerns that some, DCCC Chairman Chris Van Hollen and DNC Chairman Tim Kaine in particular, are dangerously fanning the flames by suggesting that these incidents be used as a political weapon.
What makes you say it's political?
Cantor would not answer questions about his accusation, but keeping them honest, Democratic leaders have been going after Republicans, saying they're inciting threats against Democrats. DNC Chairman Tim Kaine issued a statement yesterday saying Republican leaders are themselves engaging in actions and rhetoric that previously would have been limited to fringe elements of the Republican Party. And when it comes to using security for political gain, there's this. Organizing for America, President Obama's political organization, sent this email today trying to raise money off threats against fellow Democrats, specifically citing an incident with House Democrat Tom Perriello and asking for political donations. Meanwhile, keeping Republicans honest, the House GOP leader says this.
Violence and threats are unacceptable. They have no place in a political debate.
But he refused to back down from comments he's made that Democrats say stokes violent fires.
Hell no, you haven't!
Boehner was quoted as calling Democrat Steve Driehaus a, quote, dead man for voting yes on health care. Driehaus says he understood it was political, but insists others may not.
So it's not how I take it. It's how somebody back home or somebody in another state might take it. We've got death threats coming into our offices, coming into other offices of members of Congress.
Given what's going on, do you maybe think that those words might have been taken out of context? He said that it could have incited things.
Listen, no one saw this quote of mine in this publication until Mr. Driehaus and others made a public issue of it.
Dan, aside from the politics, we touched on them a second ago, there were reports of some very real threats toward lawmakers today.
That's right. You mentioned one earlier, and that is white powder sent to the office in New York of Anthony Weiner, congressman from New York. He said today that there's a threatening letter along with that, and that what happened was staff in his office, they had to actually give over their clothes. They had to wear protective clothing. And this afternoon, he actually said that initial tests showed it was not a biological agent that went to his office, but he's still awaiting final confirmation from the NYPD. Now, it is not just Democrats who are getting threats. We also got new information about a Republican, Jean Schmidt of Ohio. She got some pretty intense voicemails at her office. Take a listen.
Yeah, I'm glad the president passed health care. Yeah. You funky racist Republicans hate that, don't you? Gene Smith, when you got hit by that car or when you fell or whatever, you should have broke your back. You and Boehner, motherfucker, that Mitch McConnell, all you racist Republicans. Why don't y'all just change our party name to racist? Because if one of those teabaggers would have spit on me, I'd have shot them in the face with my 9mm.
Now, it's unclear exactly how many incidents have been reported, Anderson, from lawmakers. I talked to a law enforcement source earlier who said that they are just trying to sift through the reports as they get them. And, you know, yesterday, the House Majority Leader, Steny Hoyer, he said 10 or more. I talked to a Democratic source who said it is a lot more, extraordinarily more than 10 at this point.
Interesting. We're going to continue the conversation about hate politics after the break with David Gergen.